Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Now, when we get into this video, you're going to be sitting there, scratching your head and saying, surely this is a joke. Surely this isn't serious. Surely we don't live in a world like this. But I'm afraid, and alas, we do. You see, medical professionals are now being urged to call the vagina by a new name, in case it upsets the mentally ill men who pretend they're women. And instead of calling it a vagina, and I honestly mean this absolutely seriously, there is no joking, they want to call the vagina by a new name, and that name is your bonus hole. You couldn't make it up. The bonus hole. Presumably, because if you get in there, it's a bit of a bonus. I don't know. Of course, everyone who actually owns one of these things is up in arms about it. It's not a bonus hole, it's a vagina. The trouble is that there's some men that have had an operation and they still don't have a vagina, but they do now have their bonus hole. Now, it does beg the question, if that's the bonus hole, what's the normal hole? The one around the back? I don't know. Anyway, we'll take a look at this article and scratch our heads and think the world has gone utterly and completely bonkers. Here goes. So now health professionals are urged to call vaginas bonus holes to avoid offending trans or non-binary patients. Now I've got to say, if you've got a vagina, then it's a vagina. And if you're a man who's had an operation, you don't have a vagina, you've got a man cave. Anyway, women have condemned a charity after it suggested the vagina could be referred to as the bonus hole to avoid upsetting non-binary or trans men. No, you can upset them all. They're just mentally ill men. They're mentally ill men. Female rights campaigners today rounded on the alternative glossary, branding it both misogynistic and utterly dehumanising. And of course it is. Dehumanising is what you do when you want to get rid of people. So, for example, they dehumanised Jews in the 30s. It made it much easier to get rid of them. And that's what's happening here. Because, of course, these people pushing this kind of agenda, this identity politics and that, they're all fascists. It is featured on the charitable organisation's Joe's Cervical Cancer Trust on a page for health professionals who are treating patients who have the disease. Well, women, then. Only women have a cervix. Okay? Simple to understand that one, isn't it? If you don't have a cervix, you're a man. But today the trust insisted it was not suggesting the term should be used by all women, but added it was important to reach trans men and non-binary people. I don't know what they mean. You mean women who have a vagina and a cervix? Because only women have a cervix. But the bonus hole term, which the course says was developed with expert organisations who work with the LGBT community. Well, actually, they don't. Let's be honest. They work with the T community, LG and B. I mean, especially the L. The L's, they love vaginas. They're not going to be calling it their bonus hole. And the G's, they have very little to do with vaginas on the whole, don't they? And then you have the B's, which occasionally swing both ways. But anyway, so it's all T, not LGB, all T. Anyway, the page also features a suggestion that the vagina may also be referred to as the front hole. Why not call it the front bottom? Anyway, it is entitled Language to Use When Supporting Trans Men and or Non-Binary People. Mentally ill people. The mentally ill. That covers it. Conservatives for Women founder Caroline Fisk told Mail Online the gender movement seems actively to want to encourage body dissociation and hatred. In other words, to actively create more confused young people alienated from their own physicality and their own sex. But of course they do. They absolutely do. Because it is young people who are the goal. They want to get it's always the children. It's always the very young and the children, isn't it? That's what these people are after ultimately, because they're all peas and predators. Anyway, she said, what better way to do this than to utterly dehumanising language about our own bodies? She said, to my mind, it is grooming. Create the unease, the dissociation, the alienation. And then, when you've done that, you step in with the euphoric rhetoric about trans joy. Fill the void that you have created. Of course, doing this will not be around to pick. You'll not be around to pick up the pieces when young bodies are irreversibly damaged and young lives destroyed. Is there a mechanism whereby these charities promoting harm could be struck off? Yeah, a noose. The glossary says it was created with the help of the LGBT Foundation, but it was LGBT, as we've covered, nothing to do. The Trans Foundation. Kelly J. Keane, the founder of Standing for Women, described the parts of the glossary as an erasure of female language. She added, the whole thing is loathsome, but bonus hole and front hole are so misogynistic. And we do like Kelly J. Keane. She's worked tirelessly to promote that, being a woman is something you should be proud of, not something you should be ashamed of, which is what these men are. They're saying you should be ashamed to be a natural woman just because you don't count us men who pretend to be women, pretendy ladies, as women, and they don't like it. They absolutely loathe women. The irony is, and that is the irony of this, they want so much to be a woman, but they actually loathe women and the terms that women use. It's a mental case, isn't it? Anyway, Kelly J. Keane said, if a woman is so triggered by the word vagina, I should imagine she needs serious psychiatric help, rather than the world to bend to her never-ending list of irrational demands. You would think that the charities focused on cervical cancer would have better things to do than erase female language. Still, it's better than the Canadian cervical charity, who devoted a whole section on men with cervical cancer. But that's impossible. No man has ever had cervical cancer. The Trust moved today to head off the controversy and explain why it had published the guide. It said it included it to try and help health professionals and reach potential cancer sufferers that may be concerned about attending screenings. Don't be concerned, just go. If you're a woman who likes to pretend to be a man, you still know that you're a woman. Just simply by putting the suit on and doing things differently, that doesn't change the fact that you know you're a woman and you know you have a vagina. And even if you have a strapedectomy operation, you still got a cervix because you're a woman. Anyway, a spokesman told Mail Online, we are aware that some of our online information is currently attracting significant attention. Yes, because it's bullshit. The information being shared is from a webpage written for health professionals to support trans men and or non-binary patients with a cervix. Now, you see, the patients with a cervix, why not just use the word women? The page includes a glossary of terms they may hear from patients and was developed with expert organisations of morons and mentally ill people. The page is not promoting the use of the phrases with all women. No, but you're promoting it with some women, and in fact you're promoting it at all is misogynistic and wrong. Anyway, they said women are our main audience at Joe's. I would imagine since it's cervical cancer, women are your only audience at Joe's. They went on to say, however, some trans men and or non-binary people have cervixes. Cervices, surely. The plural of cervix would be cervices. Also, they're not non-binary people or trans men, they're women. They've got cervix, they're a woman. Get over it. Get over yourselves. Grow up. Stop trying to cancel women. It is wrong. Anyway, I'm going to come up and finish off. Of course, you have to look at the other side. It's not just the sort of misogynistic terms. It's also the infantilization. Why not call things by what they actually are? Because, to do this, they call things like, front bottom or glory hole and things like that. You're infantilizing the language. Now, by doing that, it means that when something is seriously wrong, people will be using terms they've heard elsewhere, and these medical professionals won't have a clue maybe what they're talking about, and it may lead to misdiagnosis and things like that. You're actually putting your own health and possibly life in risk by calling things by euphemistic names so as not to upset some mentally ill person. It's just plain wrong. But it's the way of the world. It's because if you say anything, gainsay anything by the trans lobby, you get cancelled, you have your bank account closed. Well, I just still say 2010 Equality Act, philosophical belief is a protected characteristic, and I truly believe that men are men, women are women, male and female are separate things. They're not interchangeable. And I don't care what you dress as, what you call yourself. If you're a man, you're a man. If you're a woman, you're a woman. And they're the jails you need to go to too. But that's a separate video. Anyway, I shall round off here. Thank you very much for watching. It's unstartling, isn't it? The bonus hole. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you like what you see here on the channel, please hit the subscribe button, ring that bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and remember, it's a vagina, not a bonus hole. Bye.